This is Planet Music.
Welcome to Planet Music from the makers of Planet Marzipan.
In a streaming world, we're proud to be a podcast that celebrates the art of the album.
I'll try to refrain from doing happiness, happiness, the greatest gift that you possess.
You talk about your body parts all you want, mate.
Well, it's a bit of a Diddy Man thing, but you know.
Hello, and welcome to Planet Music. If he's left that in, you know where this is going to go.
Out the toilet.
I am Mezza. I'm here with my good friends.
Craig.
And
Mikie.
And
Grae.
It's almost like we worked that out this time, isn't it?
It's just because I've got it tattooed on the back of my head. In reverse, so I can see it on the screen.
As you can see from the title of the episode, we are here to discuss the first album by the British band Hurts. As usual, I will read out the Wikipedia entry, but in our true full disclosure, Mikie is a massive fan of this album, so we will go around the group and come to Mikie last for each of the tracks because he'll have lots to say on it, lots of information. So, from Wikipedia, Happiness is the debut studio album by English musical duo Hurts. It was released on the 27th of August 2010 by RCA Records. It was preceded by the release of the singles Better Than Love on the 23rd of May 2010 and Wonderful Life on the 22nd of August 2010. Collaborators include Jonas Quant and the production team The Nexus, as well as a duet with Australian singer Kylie Minogue on the song Devotion. To promote the release of the album, the track Happiness was made available as a free download via Amazon. And I'm going to leave it at that, I think. Mikie, if it's okay with you, we all right to pick the singles up as we hit them in the album order?
Yes, we'll just do album start to finish.
Brilliant. Okay. So, it is a 11-track album, but there's a bonus track at the end, I believe.
Yeah.
So the first track is Silver Lining. Craig, do you want to start us off with that one?
It's a good opener with a bit of chimes and everything in there. One thing I found with this, and I've just tried at the beginning when I listened to the album through, trying to in my head, because you know you like to take the piss out of his job, John, for doing me labels.
Well, you like a label, don't you?
I like a label.
Yeah, you do.
Trying to see
I bet you don't
where.
say the word prog tonight, though.
Oh, I wish I could, but we can't because this. And I think that this, in my head, comes under what you know you've heard of stadium rock. Well, this comes as like stadium pop. It's quite anthemic.
There's a lot of big choruses on this record.
No, it's like let's I think they've been going to the Spinal Tap of let's get everything up to 11 by the end of a song. They do like their big finishes.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think Silver Lining is a great opening. I'm quite surprised this wasn't a single because it's as catchy as hell, and I think it's a strong opener. And reading a bit up about the album, and it seems to me, and correct us if I'm wrong, Mikey, it's a relationship album, and it's also an album of how they feel that men and women relate. Because there's a
Pretty
quote,
much so, yeah.
There's a quote by one of them who says that women around us are miserable, so we want songs about us and them and empathy. So yeah, I get that, but yeah, it's a strong opening track. But I like the chimes at the start.
Grae?
So when this track started, I was like, yes, because it's got that sort of drive. It's kind of a
It's got like a Depeche type sequencer.
It has that kind of dirty synth type.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, let's go. Um,
And then it changes drastically.
it does change drastically, but this song in particular, I feel, is quite anthemic. And it is a good album. It is a good album opener. I think it's, it says quite a lot of how they work. Their music tends to drive more than their lyrics. I think one of the things that I keep on coming back to in my thoughts about the album and some of the bits I've written down is that although the music seems to drive, because they've got like step sequences or the lush stuff in it, the vocals don't. The vocals are all that kind of lush pop space in them, and I find there's a bit of a juxtaposition there. I don't know if that's intentional, if that is their style, because there's a lot of space in it that I'm not used to when you compare like the music to the vocals. But it's a good starter to the album, because especially that dirty synth pop thing that starts off, I'm like, yeah, okay, that gets you going. Yeah, it's a good album to start. I did get caught out today as well, because I looked up at one point and I was playing it on iTunes, and iTunes has got the video album on at the background. I looked up and my screen had turned into the full screen had turned into the video. I was like, whoa. And they're all very moody, sort of atmospheric videos as well, aren't they? That kind of, the videos do fit that kind of anthemic. What did you call it? Stadium pop?
Stadium pop, yeah.
They have that big space feel to them. They do. I can imagine them filling an auditorium, filling a stadium with lights and sound.
A festival act.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have to be full disclosure. I'd never heard this record until today, at all.
Being busy with Planet Mars band folks.
Well, lots of reasons. It's not really in my wheelhouse, this record. You know, it's not what I'd normally listen to. I don't listen to the radio. I put on what I want to listen in the house and the car. I think is it Theo Hutchcraft? Is that the singer, Mikie?
It is, yes.
I think he's got a great voice. He really has. Reminds me a little bit of Tom Chaplin.
Yep.
I was caught out by the opening of Silver Lining. I thought the sequencer caught me off guard completely. I was expecting the record it is rather than that sequence. It's just like a false lead into the track, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the chorus, as the guys have said, is big chorus. I'm really surprised they didn't start the album with the second track.
Yes.
Which we'll come on to in a minute, but it's a nice way. It's a nice opener, sets the scene for what's coming up. And as I say, I was really impressed with his voice from the off. Mikie, Silver Lining.
Silver Lining. I think everything that you've said, I completely agree with. I always find with a lot of artists that I get into, the thing that gets you on board isn't necessarily the first thing that you hear when you play the album. And I'll come on to what got me on board with them later on. What drew me into them wasn't just the music, it was the aesthetic. Very much similar to the Pet Shop Boys. It was the packaging, it was the videos, it was this world they've created, the visual aesthetic, the packaging, it all kind of solidifies their own world. And I think that this track reinforces that. Right. I think if you'd opened with one of the singles, it would have been, oh yeah, this is what we're going to get. And throughout the album, that isn't necessarily what you do get. One of the things that they have written on all of their releases throughout this campaign are the Italian words lento doloroso, which in musical terms means play it slowly, but with angst or depression. So it's a statement and it's a musical direction at the same time. And I think that's what this track and essentially what the album's all about. The thing that you mentioned about Depeche Mode, completely agree with you. The first thing that I wrote down when I was listening to it was Barrel of a Gun. There was that grungy sample that's on at the beginning. I love the time signature on it. I mean, most of this album's just pretty much fall to the floor, but it's a slowed down tempo. It's 1-2, 1-2, pretty much all the way through. I like the grand piano sounds that he's creating. I know they used Logic 9 pretty much throughout the whole writing process of this album. So a lot of the plugins and things, he just found a sound and then stuck to it. Which
I'm sorry, I love the fact that you know what software they wrote the album with.
But yeah,
He's like listening to you talk about something. Good job.
I was going to say it's normally me that geeks out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's like, as I was saying to you before, John, every time I play this album, and I've played it to death for the last 15 years, I always pick up on different things every time I hear it. There's stuff going on between the first chorus ending and the second verse. There's like backwards keyboards playing, and you've got hand claps going on. You've got acoustic guitar in there, which, unless you're tuning into it in the mix, it's not necessarily something that you'll pick up on because it's not what you're expecting to hear.
Who's the other guy? Who's the multi-instrumentalist?
It is Adam Anderson.
Does he play everything?
He pretty much plays everything. He's basically keyboards, acoustic guitar, electric guitar. He does some bass work on the album, but they did have session musicians.
Yeah.
On a couple of the tracks there is live drummers, and I'll mention them when they come in, unless you have picked it up, which is, I think the tracks are really obvious where they have. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic opener, and the one thing I will say about Hertz is they're very good at song structure. I feel that all of the songs on this album end well. None of them have got quick fade outs or like stodgy endings. I think they do fantastic breakdowns, bridges, middle eights. They know how to write a rising chorus, so to speak. And the words that I wrote down for this track in particular were melancholic euphoria.
Okay.
I think you get that uplifting feeling, but the subject matter doesn't necessarily fit the euphoria.
Let's dance for some misery.
Well, basically, I think that's where the disco lento kind of thing comes into it. They said that on a trip to Verona when they were coming out of one band and before they formed Hertz, they went off to Italy to take the brains away. And they discovered this genre, which was from the early 90s, where Italians were playing slow, melodic, but depressing kind of disco music. It was music that you could shuffle to, but not necessarily dance to. And I think that's where they created this mythos, and it works for them. And I don't think there's anybody, well, certainly not at the time, anybody like them doing that. But one of the things I love about this track is actually the ending. There's like these ascending minor chords going on, and you've got that disparate sounds kind of effect, because you normally with ascending chords you want to hear major chords going on, but these are minors, and it gives it almost like a cyclic feel. I think it's a wonderful track. I really do. Don't think it's quite single quality. I think it's a bit too left field for a single, but it's certainly up there.
I think well, again, I'm using Wikipedia for some of this information, but it's one of 3 tracks that are co-written with the Nexus, isn't it?
Yes, that was fairly early on. Basically, what had happened was they'd met in 2005 outside a nightclub in Manchester, where they both had a group of friends and they were out for the night, and each group of friends started to fight. But they were too drunk to join in on the fight, so they just sat down watching and started talking about music. A far cry from meeting in an electronics shop. But basically, over the years, they set up a couple of bands which didn't kind of go anywhere. They got record deals, one single release failed, blah, blah, blah. And they'd got to a point where they were broke, they were claiming benefits. They thought, well, do we become songwriters? Do we have one last bash? So they had a group of friends who they knew from within the biz who were giving them help. So you had like the Nexus helping them out, and their other friend Joe, The guy who set them up with the record label was actually Biff Stannard, who was an ex-boyfriend of Tom Watkins, and has written songs for the likes of E17, Five, Kylie Minogue, Matt Cardle, Spice Girls. He's a big, big songwriter.
Yeah.
And he just set up a label on RCA. And as they were developing Hertz, they used MySpace quite a bit. And they'd done a homemade video for one of the first songs they wrote, which was
Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
That went viral. And basically Sony went, oh, hello, viral video, we'll have you. So literally, before they were pretty much thinking of calling it a day, they got snapped up, and their mate Biff Stannard said, I've just started a label, you can be my first act. So it was fate, really, that was, well, luck and fate shined on them at the same time and got them the deal. Otherwise, they might not have gotten anywhere. And the perverse thing really is they were very much a YouTube and MySpace band from the off. For the first year in 2009, before they'd even got anywhere, they were getting millions of views on YouTube. And the perverse thing is that the streaming rules for YouTube music videos and chart positions didn't come in until 2016. So they were way too early for that. So although their singles didn't chart very highly, I think there was only one which actually got in the top 40. The album did really well based on the group of people that had started following them. But because people were going to YouTube to watch the videos, they weren't getting any monetization from it from back
They
then.
were just in the point of time where there was the changeover, wasn't it? Where
Pretty much.
you had
pretty
like
much.
the download charts, and it wasn't so much streaming; it was buying downloads, and it was.
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
I think it was still at the time when you were getting album tracks into the actual singles chart, because at the time they hadn't set the rules out succinctly enough to say to an artist, if you want one of your tracks on an album to be a single, you've got to say it's a single, otherwise it ain't going to chart. But back in them days, they still were. So if U2 suddenly released an album, six of the 10 tracks on the album, you can guarantee would be in the top 20. It was crazy. It was
Yeah,
an
they'll be
absolute-
in the tail end of when like CDs and things will have actually affected the charts, whereas now it just
massively. Massively. So, digital singles are on the slow curve up and CD singles are on the steep decline down. So they were in a bit of a rocky position to get into the singles charts, but they were known. They were getting the reach. So anyway, Silver Lining, good start.
Okay, I must get on to track 2. So track 2 was the second single from the album. It was released a week before the album came out, and it is Wonderful Life. Craig?
Yeah, I think didn't this actually get pushed out in Europe earlier as radio only single, I think in the March.
It was about the May, and basically what happened was it was bootlegged from their MySpace and YouTube. Greek radio basically downloaded it and started playing it. So people were hankering after it and couldn't get it. So they kind of quickly put it out over in Europe.
Yeah, I mean it's a banging tune. It's a one that you could definitely dance to, and I think I can see why this got them attention, because it is a finely tuned pop song with a big kind of cinematic sound to it, an embrace life kind of thematic, lyric to it. And I think it's a decent tune. And it's funny because when listening to it, I've been doing the decorating, Sarah's been getting into the album, and the one thing that she said is, "Oh, don't they sound a bit like Savage Garden?" And I say, "Well, yeah, okay."
You're not wrong.
Yeah, actually, do you know what? That's a good point. Yeah, I did wonder who it was that they reminded me of. I've actually, for this song, I've written down Richard Marx synth pop. I don't know why, because the way this song sounds. Sorry, Craig, I've jumped in.
No, no,
Go for it.
Yeah. In my head, it sounds like the pop equivalent of a Richard Marx soft rock song. It's got that, and I don't mean that in a detrimental way. It's just the fact that it's kind of formulaic, but it's done in such a way. I can see why it works in Europe. European nightclubs, having lived out there and what have you, European nightclubs, radio stations have a very different vibe to ours. And this music just sits there. It is European pop. And I can see. So if you look at the chart results, what was it? Number 2 in Germany for this as a single. Number 10 in Austria. Placed in other places. It didn't quite hit the top 20 in UK, but in Europe it was really popular. Yeah.
For me, I mean, I've played the album, I think 3 times through now. This is far and away the standout track on the album for me. I think it's got a great chorus again. Live drums, always a bonus for me. I don't know why I didn't hear it at the time. I don't remember it from the time. But I mean, the title track throws me off a little bit because I love black. So, it's a bit too close for comfort, that.
So, I mean, I need to say that as well, John. I don't remember this or them at all.
I remember them. They have a look, which...
Yeah.
How do I say this? I know why Mikie loves them. They come from the Pet Shop Boys mold. They look like that. Stylistically, they look like that. They appeal to that market. But I don't know. I was aware of them. I wasn't aware of the music.
Yeah.
It's a shame it didn't do better for them. It might have lit the fire for them a little bit earlier, but they obviously got there in the end, didn't they? Go on then, Mikie.
Just a quick one. There's the B-side to this single was called Affair, which is a 6-minute epic, which doesn't feel like 6 minutes. It's a wonderful song, and it should have been on the album. If you haven't heard it, dig it out. Good.
It's on the deluxe, isn't it?
It's on the deluxe edition, yeah. And
it's on the streaming version.
It is on the streaming version, yeah. This isn't the song that got me on board with them, but it was certainly the song that solidified it, I believe. What I love is the clock ticking motif that starts the track. I think that's lovely. And we're all sort of like familiar with songs set on the Severn Bridge. So I think the fact that this person doesn't chuck themselves off because some woman stops them and says, don't do it, it's a wonderful life. It's that juxtaposition with you've got suicide and love at first sight kind of playing off against each other. We don't know what's happened at the end, but I hope it's a happy ending. It seems like a happy song, or at least leaning towards it. Now, based on previous episodes where I say I don't like saxophone stuff in music, in this, when I first heard the album years and years and years ago, I thought it was a distorted guitar, but it is actually saxophone and clarinet that plays in the background. So when he does his oohs in the bridging section, it's actually a clarinet, and it sounds absolutely amazing. I love it. This song,
turncoat.
yeah, this song, like a lot of on the album, plays around with a lot of reverb and echo effects on the vocals, which I think it just gives it a lot of dimension. I think the one thing I will say about this album is it's produced and mixed extremely well. You can hear everything that's going on, but to a point, there is points in the album where you're thinking, oh, this is getting a little bit much. There's, you've thrown an extra set of cutlery into the kitchen sink here. But if you can separate out what you're listening to, you will pick something different up. And just the other day, I was listening to it, and there's this bit towards the end where he's going, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life. And in each statement, the voice recording sound is different. So it's not just shifting from left speaker to right speaker. The way it's been recorded is different. And I just think it's just clever. It's just really, really clever. One of the things that I did pick up on the production was there's a Trevor Horn produced Pet Shop Boys album called Fundamental, and there's a song on it called Minimal, which is absolutely not minimal. And this song reminds me of that, not in necessarily melodic sense, but certainly in a production sense. I think it's grandiose and a well-deserved single, and it definitely deserved to do better than 21 in the UK. And just as an aside, on the 23rd of May this year, to celebrate the 15th anniversary, a group called Purple Disco remixed this track for release. Bombed over here in the UK, but as of last week, it was 6 weeks at the #1 spot in the German dance chart.
Look it up.
I personally don't like it. I think they've ruined it. Don't I'm not advocating. I'm not saying don't get it, but I'm not a great fan of the remixes that have been done for, and that's across the board, across all releases. I would much prefer just to listen to the dry album versions. I don't want remixes from, who knows what. The albums and the B-sides are enough for me.
Okay. Track 3 is called Blood, Tears and Gold, and it was the last single released from the album, the 7th single from the album. Christ, they milked that, didn't they?
This is possibly what you would call an ultimate boy band song. If Louis Walsh and Simon Cowell had got hold of this track in something like 2010, and if it had been for the likes of Westlife or Boyzone, this would have dominated the charts in the summer. This would have been a massive, like, boy band style song. It would have been.
Can I just chip in?
Go on.
They won an Enemy Award in 2011. And Adam did a bit of a speech at the awards, and he said, not bad for two pretentious wankers who sound like Westlife.
There you go.
Because that's what somebody said. That's what somebody said of that track.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, lyrically, it's good. Aftermath with kind of broken relationship, liberation, self-discovery, all that kind of stuff. Nice little bit of sleazy guitar in there. Yeah, it's interesting tune, but it's a little bit too boy band for me, but it's all right.
Grae?
So for me, it's one of the stronger songs, which is a bit odd because I don't like Westlife and I don't like that kind of pop, but I like the ambience that they use. So the guitar sounds at the beginning and the way they build the sound. They were very, very picky and not picky. They were very selective and clever about how they had. So they had 7 singles overall, but I think, so this was only the 4th single in Germany or something. It was like, so they didn't release everything everywhere. They released things, so they knew what worked where. I don't know why I didn't know the band, because if you're releasing 7 singles over a year, you should be heard by people. And I don't remember hearing any. I'll caveat that. I'm sure something will be mentioned later on, and I'll say, yes, I understand why I recognise this, but it's bizarre because it should have been huge, not because I like it, but because of the way that song is, exactly as Craig says. It should have been a massive hit, but it wasn't by a band that were going to get that kind of coverage.
Can I just say, no one can.
Yeah.
I think this isn't a patch on what came before it. This track, the tracks that are co-written with the Nexus are the weaker tracks for me. I think Wonderful Life is such a strong chorus. This is nowhere near as good as that. It's okay. It could have been a boy band, absolutely. Yeah. Next. Mikey?
This was a song that they sent to Jonas Quant to test him out as a producer. So they sent it off to him. He came back with the sound that he'd created, and they went, right, this is the sound for the rest of the album. So the sounds that you're getting in this kind of span out and, are explored in other tracks. So from that point of view, I get it. But you know what, John? I'm pretty much on board with you. This is one of my least favourite tracks on the album. But having said that, it's very much a song of two halves, and I love the latter half. I think sonically, after the first two songs, I think you need something a little bit lighter in tone.
But it's almost too Westlife. The way it builds up.
Yeah. It has got that sort of like just standing up from your wooden stools.
There's the point, where they would get up on the stool.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. But having said that, lyrically again, I kind of like the fact that the boiling, not being able to fix a relationship, and it doesn't matter whether it's fighting or crying or buying gifts, is going to fix it.
Yeah.
I love that. I think the fact that they've not said those words and just blood tears gold, I think it's clever, really clever songwriting. There's a chiming quality to the keyboards as well. It's almost like a crystalline sound to it. Love that. But like, again, that song of two halves thing, it's only till it gets about 2 minutes 30, where for me it kind of shifts again. You've got these breathy vocals going on with some beautiful violin work in the background. Although this is pretty much technically a synth pop album, there's a lot of organicness to it. And I think this is one of them tracks that benefits from having like the violins and piano at the end. The outro is amazing. If you actually dial your volume up, you can actually hear that it's being played on a tape recorder and played back through a mic or through an amp, because you can hear the cassette wheels turn, and it's probably a producer's like, I'm showing off here, I want to show you what I can do, and the boys were probably like, oh yeah, this is fantastic, but it's stuff like that they throw in, I think, so clever and unique. Hats off, but yeah, it's not one of my favorite tracks on there.
Okay, track 4 is he says, going back to his list, the 5th single.
Well, it's the 4th single in the UK. There is a single
worldwide.
There was a single that was released at Christmas called "All I Want for Christmas Is New Year's Day," which is technically one of the Happiness era singles, but it wasn't on the album. Technically,
anyway, this song is called Sunday. Greg.
It's quite. It's another one of those anthemic kind of songs. It's a like a 21st century modern ballad, but dancey. It reminds me thematically, a little bit of the style reminds me a bit of More Historical Society from the early noughties. Doesn't sound exactly like them, but it's just got a Colin McIntyre little feel of quirkiness to it.
Right.
But yeah, it's a song of heartache and hope, and that's not one of my favorites on the album, but it's a solid enough single, and it's catchy enough to be a single.
Yeah. Grae?
So yeah, it's catchy. It's got, again, it was quite driven synth songs to begin with, and I was like, all right, here we go. And if I'm going to be harshly honest, by this point in the album, I was like, they are doing everything they need to do to write pop hits in the way that, I mean, you said, Mikey, they are really good at writing bridges. They're really good at writing middle eights. They're really good at structures. They're really good at what have you. But perhaps, to me, being really good at getting the structure right and really good at getting the things done is perhaps detrimental if there's not enough soul to it. And for me, at this point, I was like, it's all really well done, but I'm not feeling it. And I don't know why, because I mean, this song's it's a driving song. It's that sort of driven pop song. And it's really good. You know, for what it is, it's good, but it just left me cold.
I kind of agree with you. There is a point on this album where my interest starts to wane because they use the same formula on a lot of the tracks. They do it really well.
Yeah.
But from about, I think probably Better Than Love, my interest kind of falls away.
Yeah.
I think this track, in my notes I've written, could be a Kylie or an Erasure banger, this.
Yes.
It's that good a song and it's that well recorded. It's way better than Blood, Tears and Gold for me.
I'll agree. I do wonder perhaps if they had decided to go down the route of being a songwriting duo for other people, if their material would have been more successful rather than trying to front it themselves and deliver, because there's a fine line between able to craft a song and then able to deliver. And I think for me, that's possibly where because the songs are all good. They're really well crafted. And the production on this album is pretty much off the charts. It really is.
Yeah.
But,
it sounds wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm going to get shouted at by Mikie.
Well, Mikie, track 4.
You're not. This is up there with one of my favorite tracks on the album. There's something about it, and I think it's that euphoria thing again. When it hit, thankfully it's not standing up from a wooden chair, but there's definitely a point. There's definitely a point where you go, oh, and it just grabs me every single bloody time. It started out as an experiment. What they wanted to do was write a song using the sort of chords that Angelo Badalamenti would use. So the demo, if you've heard the demo, it is literally just strings, piano, and Theo singing. It is streamable on the deluxe edition, and it is gorgeous. The production team took that and went, way, and created this bombastic single, which, for me, I think the fact that it only reached 57 on the charts is a utter shame. But I kind of get it. I think a lot of the critics at the time were basically saying the music sounds fantastic, but the lyrics are just painfully trite. And as much as I love the song, I have to kind of agree. I think Sunday's probably got some of the worst lyrics of the entire album. But in that, I do like the fact that there's like this, if you don't come back tomorrow, there's these like heavy drums going on in the background. There's like this sense of foreboding that builds up to a point where it just crashes with this massive strings going on, and it just soars and builds until the end. I think his vocals at some point are even triple tracked. I think there's definitely like a lot of depth to it. And I just think it's uplifting. I think it's euphoric. I love the track. I could play this track to death, but that's probably because I'm, a big Erasure and Pet Shop Boys fan.
So, do you think? Do you reckon?
Do you think? So yeah, I understand what each of you is saying about this. Totally get it. But it is one of my favorites on the album.
Okay. The next track is the third single, Stay. Craig.
This, for some reason, even though I don't know why, I don't know which song it is, but it has got definite like Pet Shop Boys meets East 17 a bit going on there. I think it's a good song for you of being alone, fear of screwing your life up and things like that. And I think it's a solid enough song. And I think it's quite interesting because I feel that this and in 2 tracks' time, Evelyn are kind of sister songs. They're very thematically close. They're like 2 parts of a like a two-parter kind of song. I could be completely wrong with it, Maggie, but yeah, it's not one of the strongest songs on the album. But
Oh, I disagree. I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's good
I think it's
chorus and everything to it. But yeah,
Yeah, no, it's great. Sorry.
So, yeah, so I am going to disagree with you, Craig, because when we started talking about the album, when I was saying there's this juxtaposition, it's like really anthemic, it's big and all that kind of stuff. This takes that to an entirely other level. It is a huge sounding thing. It is one of those anthemic. So again, if you gave it to somebody like Westlife, or I'm not quite sure E17 would have done it justice, but somebody who had a name that could have had the backing behind them, this would have been absolutely massive. It's anthemic. It's soulful yet driven. The lyrics are heartfelt. It's one of the few examples in the song where I actually felt myself paying attention to the lyrics without having to read them. I was actually paying attention to what he was saying. And I don't know if anybody's seen the Wikipedia entry for the single, but it's like Star Magazine gave it 5 stars and said, "We're not quite sure how music so gloomy can still sound so bloody gorgeous." Yeah. Do you know what? And it does. It just sounds fantastic.
I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but if you gave that to an X Factor winner, it's a number one.
Yes.
Yeah. It's an absolute number one.
There's so many songs on this album that are that. You know, it's case the next season of the X Factor, you might as well just give each of the singers like one track from this album and let them get.
I'm going to backtrack a little bit on what we said about them using the same formula, because this disproves what we've just said.
Yeah.
It isn't the same as you put that right next to Sunday, which we've just had. It's a completely different category. How did it do in the charts there?
It got to 50.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. It's
And
really...
it had their cover of Confide in Me as a B-side. What's not to like? Who didn't buy it?
And they've played it ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it got to number 50 in the UK. It got to number 2 in Poland, 2 in Luxembourg, 3 in Germany, 4 in Austria. Do you know what I mean? It was top 20 in about half a dozen or more countries.
Yeah. The two standouts, A Wonderful Life and this for me.
Is this where we actually start a campaign now to get Hertz to do Eurovision? Because it's the only chance you've actually got to get a British artist in there to actually do something. Because
that's what it is. It's that. So maybe that's why maybe I do struggle with it, because it is that kind of European formula.
It is, yeah. It's great, though. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's for Eurovision.
Go on, Mikey.
I mean, they are a very pro-European band. They always have been. I mean, this is way before the days of Brexit. You know, they wore their European yellow and blue flag on their sleeves. You know, you can tell that a mile off. I'm just going to read you a quick, short enemy review, which pertains to the album. And in particular, I think it pertains to this track. It says, "This album is fiercely well crafted with billowing escapist nonsense that raises your heart rate, slaps a smile in your face, and sounds godlike when drunk." That to me sums up Stay. This is another one of my top 3, top 4 tracks on the album. I think it is absolute brilliance. It's another one that starts quiet with piano, so you think you're going to get, oh, is this going to be a quiet track? Is it going to be, something else? But the choruses with the hand claps are just so uplifting. You've got really squelchy keyboard sounds going on. The choir is just top notch. Pretty much all of the vocals and the guitar work on this album were actually recorded in Gothenburg in Sweden, in -20 temperatures. And they said like a lot of their despair and frustration probably comes out through some of the vocal sounds and some of the guitar sounds, because they said, it sounded great to be running off to a European country to record some of the album, but it ended up being like being in the film The Shining, sitting freezing in 40-foot square rooms with soundproofing and nothing else, but it allowed them to create these hollow, reverbic, very deep sounds, which I think reverberate through the entire album, but this has got it in absolute spades. And again, it's got like this bridge section at 2 minutes. You've got this massive uplifting thing that happens at 2 minutes 30. It is almost formulaic, but I think this track's been done so well that you don't notice that it's probably following the same structure that some of the other ones do. But because it's been approached differently, I think it's miles away from what the previous track was. I totally agree with you, John. This is, I mean, it shouldn't have single written all over it. To me, it doesn't sound like a single.
I think it does.
They obviously use it's strong enough to be a single. I think if you if Keane did this, it probably would have done fantastically.
Absolutely.
But say on to the next track with Illuminated, that changes the.
Graham, what's wrong with you, mate?
I've just realised who mixed the album.
Oh,
Spike Stent.
Spike Stent. Yeah.
Right.
So the reason it sounds like it does with that lush thing, I mean, look at what he does. Look at the man has a golden touch.
The list's too long.
It's ridiculous. I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Sorry,
Greg, you're about to say something. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, so you see, talking about like stay there, but then again, Illuminated, the next track is very different to what's preceded it. This is a lot slower track. It's not one of my favorites on the album. It's still a big kind of song, a song in the human condition kind of thing. But it's interesting, but not one of my favorites.
Okay, Grae, Illuminated.
So, what did you say it was, Mikey? Did you say lento con rosso, slow with red, or slow with fire?
Lento Doloroso. So that's
Doloroso.
Yeah.
Okay.
$6.99 a bottle in Asda.
Slow but sorrowful.
Slow but sorrowful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it is, and it's weird because the way the songs are written, they do have that anthemic space, and I keep on saying it. They've got that build to them. I just wish they would lift the tempo on some of them a bit. Lift the drive on them a little bit, because I love the ideas, I love the production, I love the reverb drenched keyboard sounds, the synth sounds, the strings that they put on, the treatments to do that. The treatment of the vocals is fantastic, but I just feel like it's all constantly dragging, and I don't know why. That's just me. Don't get me wrong, I love loads of ambient music and stuff, and I like listening to instrumental stuff that isn't necessarily fast. But there's something about this that I just want to give it a kick up the arse, which annoys me, because as I've already said, the songs are really well written.
Yeah. I'm not so keen on Illuminated. It's another track with a nexus, and that doesn't help for me. It's not a patch on Stay. Which these tracks, this and Blood, Tears and Gold, both follow the two tracks that I really love, so I don't think that helps them. It's nice enough. It's a mid-track album,
mid-album track, isn't it?
Yeah. It starts to sag a little bit in the middle for me here, but sorry, Mikey.
No, it's all right. Because I actually agree with you. If you had the vinyl edition, which if you wanted now, you'd be probably paying the region of £200 for. It was already released in Europe, so us Brits had to pay a fortune for it from the off. And of course, me being me in 2010, wasn't buying vinyl. This would have ended side one.
Right.
So as a side closer, from that point of view, I'd get it. I don't believe it should have been a single. And it only got to 68 in the charts.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise it was a single. We've got so many, I didn't see it. Number 6.
This would have been single 6 or 5, depending on how you're counting.
19.
But it was used as a way to promote a new single version of Better Than Love, which was the double A side. The new single version is also not a patch on the album version, and I don't recommend anybody listens to it. The guitar opening of Illuminated, the doom 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 doom, I think sounds like the beginning of Depeche Mode's Walking in My Shoes,
I did,
or at least it's a nod to.
did not get that at all. No.
Play it back, and you might get it. I think in certain parts, and especially the guitar work, I think it almost sounds like Bond theme-ish, but I'm talking sort of like more recent Bond themes than Shirley Bassey era Bond themes. And I love, and what I do like about the track is, again, it's a middle piece where he goes, we are, and there's this haunting reverb on his vocals, which I think is absolutely wonderful. But generally, I'm not a big fan, and if I was to take a track off the album, this would be it. And as I said before, there's a song called Affair, which I think should have quite rightly fit its place. But the outro, very European. I think it sounds a bit French. It sounds a bit like you sat at a Parisian cafe outside somewhere and somebody's playing an accordion. It's just a bit weird for me. I think it's probably one of them come down points of an album that's possibly needed around the bombasticness of the rest of it. But nah, it's not one of my favourites. It really isn't.
Okay. Track 7 is Evelyn, which Craig's already mentioned, but
Yeah, I'd like
to say on that.
Yeah, I really do like this track. This one is another one where it's got like Savage Garden vibes to it. I like the build on it. I like the drums on it. It's got a little bit more to it, and I think it's another one of those like connection and relationship songs. But yeah, I like this one.
I think for me, this one is one of the best examples of the light and shade on the album, because it starts off quietly, it builds, it then drops again. It keeps you hanging on for that payoff, because it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, and then it just explodes. It's a good example of them doing what they do really well. It's one of the three sort of songs that I clicked with on the album. I think one of the 3 or 4 songs that I really clicked with on the album.
Yeah.
I think the loud drums help, and
yeah, that's what it is. Bombastic.
It is.
Would have been nicer off the back of Stay, wouldn't it? Really, without
it would have been, yeah.
Without it.
Well, that's why I say it. I feel like it's a sister track to Stay. I could be completely talking bollocks, but that's just what I felt with it.
Yeah, no, it's a great song, and a great arrangement, I think.
Could have been a bit longer.
Well, how long is it?
So we need 3.5 minutes or so.
Well, they're all 4 minutes. There's 4 minutes. They're all about 4 minutes, aren't they? I think it's great. Mikie, Evelyn.
It's a song about a nurse. He got a bottle smashed in his face on his 21st birthday, and he spent some time in hospital. So it's that gave him the basis and the inspiration for the song, which is, if anybody's spent any time in an ICU ward and you're being looked after by nurses, and at certain points in the day, everybody disappears and you're left alone, and all you're left with is the sound of the machines going on in the room. And I think for anybody to write a song based on that, it's weird, and it's clever, and it's genius. I absolutely love this track. I think it's another one of those where you think it's going to go somewhere, and then it just takes a complete U-turn and goes off somewhere else. I think the real drums on this track really give it its depth and its power. And in some ways, I wish they'd used more real drums in the album. But I know the real drums were recorded very late in the day when the album was being finished. So that was probably a time and money thing. But it really does make the difference on this track. And one of the other things that I like is the fact that there's musical motifs going on. So when you've got lyrics when it says, I see the lights casting shadows on my screen, there's this electronic twinkle sound goes on in the background. And then when he says the lullabies from the machines, that's when the male chorus kicks in, going, oh. And I love musical motifs that riff off the lyrics. I think that's so really nice touch. And again, it's a big builder. I absolutely adore this track. I think it's wonderful. It's a masterpiece.
Okay. The next track is the first single, and the remix version was what we say, Mikey? Fourth single? Don't know.
Yeah, but stick with release one.
Okay. This is Better Than Love, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, my first note on this was poptastic. It's funny because I don't feel this has got as big a sound as some of the other songs. It's not as big, it's not as bombastic. It's very poppy. The video is a bit strange in the ballet school thing, and they're trying to figure out where that actually relates to it. But it's a top tune, it's a good single, it's a good tune, yeah, but I don't think it's got the big massive sound that some of the other songs have got, though.
No. Grae?
To me, it's a dance single. It's got that vibe to it. And I love the fact, so the vocals in this are treated like part of the instrumentation, with the reverb and the treatment to it and the effects. The voice is used as an instrument in the mix. It's really cleverly done. And I can see why it was a single. I thought I don't understand why they wouldn't lead with it, because to me,
It did.
oh, it was the first single. Yeah. And I can see why straight away.
Yeah.
Really good.
The best song Erasure ever did. I could see Andy Bell singing this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thematically, it would fit with their material as well. It's a bit like, escapism and hedonism and all that kind of stuff. So
And the instrumentation fits their kind of stuff as well. The way
does, yeah, very much,
the step synth and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, there's a lot of light and dark imagery and everything that in it, isn't there?
Yeah. Great pop song. Mikey?
This was the song that got me on board with them. And I was actually sat in a pub, and there was a video jukebox, and somebody had put it on, and I was like, what is this? And again, it was the aesthetic marries the music. I just thought it looked absolutely amazing. It's that androgynous Berlin cabaret underground 30s, 40s thing going on, with a little bit of Suspiria thrown into the mix. I just thought it was absolutely cracking, and from that moment, I thought, I'm on board with this lot. Go, Graham.
Do you know what's interesting? I've just noticed they didn't play any of the music on it. It was all Joseph Cross. All instrumentation and all programming was him, which is, yeah.
There's a reason for that. It basically wasn't going to be on the album.
Okay.
This song was originally performed by their previous band, Daggers, which they'd kind of half worked with, and Joe Cross was the first person to get on board with the songwriting before they went to the Nexus. So they had it sat in the background, and when they were sort of like 3/4 of the way through the recording of the album, they went, this would fit. So they kind of resurrected it. I think it sounds quite 80s, but not sounding 80s, if that makes sense. It's got an 80s vibe to it with modern instrumentation. I think it's somewhere between Depeche Mode and Gary Newman, to be completely honest with you. Like early Gary Newman. But I think it was the obvious single choice, I really do. And to be fair, it was the record company that said, we want this to be the first single. And if you've signed on with a big company like Sony, you're not going to say, oh no, we want this one. You're just going to go, oh yeah. They were given a load of money to do a posh video for the first time ever. So they went away and spent it. Hats off to them. I think it's lovely. I think it's a wonderful song. At times, though, I do wonder where it's sat on the album. It seems a bit odd where they've placed it. I think it would have sounded better a bit further up.
Further
Or
up,
whether
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
to lift the sagginess of, the last couple of tracks. As much as Evelyn's a big bombastic affair, Illuminated certainly wasn't. And I think you're taken on this very up and down roller coaster throughout the album. And I think it just gives it that little bit of lift before the rest of the album takes place.
I mean, I think your point about it being very 80s in style, I think it is, but the production brings it up to the 2010s. The production brings it up to that modern sound for the time.
Definitely.
Okay. Track 9 is Devotion, featuring Kylie Minogue.
Bit of Kylie.
Just a bit of Kylie as well.
Yeah, she's like, was it one
verse,
one verse and backing vocals and stuff for the rest of the song. You know what you said before, Mikey, about something like Parisian. This opens with a very Parisian theme, a very Parisian feel, and it has got a very Euro pop feel to it, with a bit of bigger production. I think it's also got a little bit of Confide in Me vibes, but I think that's because they're such big fans of that song, and obviously they've covered it, and that's one of the reasons that they got Kylie onto the album and that as well. And I think it's a solid track.
So it's weird, this one, because this one makes me think of things like the Sucker Punch soundtrack and to an extent some of the stuff that was done for the Matrix soundtrack as well, with the way the drums were done. Because again, the drums are used as an instrument as part of the song, and it's very driven. But I don't think the rest of the instrumentation matches that. It's kind of a bit bizarre. There's a real juxtaposition between it. I do wonder whether the Kylie piece is just because she respected the version of, I don't know, was it done before? Mikey, you might know. Did they get her on after they'd done a cover of Confide in Me, or was it a sort of, thanks for doing it? Or?
This was done first. Yeah,
right,
this was done first. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting.
I like it. It's the drums play over the sequences, so they kind of, in sections, they reinforce what the sequence is doing. It's the one that makes me feel, or is more reminiscent of Depeche than anything else on the record.
Yeah.
And Kylie's just underused on it. She should have alternated verses or something.
Yeah,
they just stuck her in the middle, and then, as Craig says, doing a few BVs on the end. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Mikey?
Kylie was very busy at the time. She was
Don't tell me she couldn't have another verse.
She's always busy.
She was her Aphrodite album came out in 2010, and she was very, very busy.
She sang one verse. What would 10 more minutes have cost her?
Basically, it was a 3-4 take thing in the studio, and then off she went. But
10 minutes.
Kylie being the pro that she is, she nailed it. I think even when she's not singing the verses, though, her harmonies and the wailing that she does in the background, towards the middle 8 section, I think is absolutely wonderful. I think it sounds like it could have been lifted from Kylie deconstruction years, to be completely honest with you, like you said, Greg. And there's certainly even like a massive attacky kind of feel to it. I absolutely adore this track. I could play it in spades. There's about 3 minutes in. There's just this raising choral effort going on from Kylie and the strings, and I think it's wonderful. And when she sings "Take Me to Safety" at the end, that's classic Kylie. You can't fault that. And there's like a heartbeat that goes on towards the play out of the track. What I did write down for this, which is a bit of a strange left field thing, if anybody's seen the Netflix series You, I think this could fit that guy's character with any one of the female protagonists that that occur through the series. I think it's like this strange relationship going on. He's almost possessive, and it's just I think it's just a wonderful track. It's that like this has got nothing to do with love. It's all about devotion, and it's like removing love and replacing it with lust. I think it's absolutely amazing. But like you say, Graham, after they'd had her in the studio, that's when they started to cover "Confide in Me," and they were doing that live. And Kylie reciprocated. She did a cover version of "Wonderful Life" on Radio 1's Live Lounge. That was in the September of 2010, which is still on YouTube. And she then, on the last day of their 2011 Happiness Tour at the O2 Brixton Academy, turned up on stage and sang this with them and "Confide in Me," which are also on YouTube, which are absolutely...
Track 10 is Unspoken, Craig.
Yeah, this is a bit of a odd one for me. It's quite nice. It's quite nice and quite gorgeous. It's a piano-led ballad, loads of orchestra, and it does build, and it doesn't go crazy with the build till pretty much right at the end. And it's got quite a euphoric end to it, and it's an interesting track. I don't know whether if they'd put a bit more into it, this would have been an epic album closer. You know what I mean? It's just,
Exactly.
yeah, it's one of those things that, considering how they've done a lot of songs earlier in the album, which have gone massive, and you're waiting for like a big euphoric end, and it gets like about 75 to 80% there, and then it comes down again. Which I'm not complaining about the track at all, but it's just, considering how they write songs and how they put things together, I was almost like plotting a graph, expecting it to go a certain way, and it didn't.
Okay.
So I'm gonna echo that entirely. If this had had the climax I thought it would have had, it would have been my favourite song on the album. So I know I've talked about them being big and using space. This is the epitome of everything they were trying to do until the drums come in, and the drums are insipid, and there's not enough bottom end to them. They're not big enough. And although it drives and the drums come in and it doesn't go boom, and it was all the way building along to go, right, I'm going to go boom now, and then you're like, is that it? And it just was so disappointed, because it would have been by head and shoulders the best track on the album, and then it just didn't do it. It was I was so upset.
I'm gonna have a little bit of an argument with John here, and he's gonna say what I'm saying is absolutely rubbish, but I'll try and redeem myself. I feel that the comparison I've got to this is to the original version from Sounds That Can't Be Made of Sky Above the Rain. I didn't really love Sky Above the Rain until they did the version with friends from the orchestra, because I felt that built better in that version compared to the original. But that's just me being a picky little twat.
Go on, John, say anything into that or not?
Go on, you're going to ground it.
Well, he's wrong as usual, isn't he?
Of course.
No version of Sky Above the Rain's fucking amazing. But, cloth he is. This is just more of the same for me. We've heard this. This has happened earlier in the album. In fact, it probably, for me, looking at the listing now, should be a 10-track album. It'd be punchier, it'd be better. Take that off, and there's another one I'd take off in a minute, but not one of my favourites at all. Unspoken, Mikey.
I kind of agree with you, lot. I always felt that the ending was a little bit, the one thing that I will say in its defense is the last line of lyric that he says, which is, "I'd rather be lonely." because the rest of the line, which is earlier on in the song, isn't spoken.
So I was gonna
Where
say,
he says, "I'd rather be lonely than be by your side." This one just says, "I'd rather be lonely," and then you get 30 seconds of just sound effects, and it's almost like, "I've said my piece. This is it. Leave it unspoken." I think that's what the track's trying to do, but I don't think the payoff quite works.
I think you put it on the head. I'm gonna because I think one of where I say it builds and it doesn't deliver, it's almost as if it is leave it unspoken. Don't do what you think. Maybe that's why they did it. Yeah.
Maybe that's the only thing that I hinged on, and I only picked up on that a couple of days ago. But other than that, I think again, I agree with John. I think it is more of the same. But I do love the piano work in this. The do 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 do, and if you watch him play it live, he plays it with such fervor. It's a beautiful track up to a point. And I just don't think it quite gets there. It's middle of the road for me. Don't think it's anywhere near the top 3 or 4. But I think this probably should have been the end of the album proper. That's it.
Okay. Track 11 is The Water, Craig.
This is a nice ballad, and it's got some gorgeous like piano work and orchestra and everything on it. Is it an album closer? But to be fair, I mean, we're so used to, the rock albums, prog albums, you've got your big album opener, you've got your big album closer, you've got stuff like that. But I think it sounds gorgeous. And I don't think it's not more of the same. It's a different type of song to what's, a lot of this is more like a traditional kind of, not a banger song, but it's more of a traditional ballady. It's lovely. Is it an album closer for a bombastic big album? This is a mid-album track to me.
Well, it might
Unless
have,
it's
it might
thematically
have broken that flow of thinking everything's a bit samey earlier on in the album if they'd have moved it up.
I think though that it's probably on the album, that he's writing it as if like the water metaphor, yeah, drifting apart or moving on. So I think thematically it's in the place where it is, but musically I don't think it is. I get it as a subdued album closer, rather than anything kind of big like that. And I think it's a gorgeous song, but it's
I think it is. It's a really nice song. It's just, it's not the end of the album, or shouldn't be the end of the album, and it actually isn't. But what is shouldn't even be on the album. I'm about to preempt what I'm going to say about Verona. It's a pile of shite, but The Water is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
But it's probably in the wrong place, as we've said.
What I feel about this is there's a sense of exhaustion comes from listening to this album. And I think when you get to this point, you're like, thank God there's a bit of relief. And I think this, I hate to use the metaphor of the water, it kind of washes over you, it cleanses you after you've been through that emotional roller coaster that the rest of the album is. So from that point of view, yes, it does fit on the end of the album, but I wish it didn't. I wish it was further back, and I wish that Unspoken had ended the album. I think the verses sound a little bit George Michael-y, to be completely honest with you. But the thing that sells it for me is the London Studio Orchestra. I think they do a wonderful job of just giving this track something different. And the last minute and a half of the track is pretty much just them and piano. I think it's wonderful. I think it's a nice come down from the rest of the album. I really do.
Yeah. I get the George Michael thing. I wouldn't have been surprised to hear it on something like Listen Without Prejudice on the ballady side. I think it's well written. It's beautifully performed both on the piano and the orchestra. The orchestra tips it. It really does. but I think it's utterly wasted where it is in the album. And it's a real shame because it's a beautiful song. And I think all three of you have said if they brought it back earlier in the mix and split up perhaps Stay in Illuminated or Illuminated and Evelyn or something, moved it, then it would have had a bigger payoff. But beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
was actually recorded while they were in Sweden. It was never planned to be on the album. It was just written in the moment, right there. Vocals recorded, piano recorded, and they went back and finished it in Manchester.
Okay. There is a hidden track on the album, which is Verona.
Do you know what I mean? Verona.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's almost like it's because you're going to go into Bohemian Rhapsody. There's like a four male voice choir kind of thing going on.
I think it's more cornetto than Bohemian Rhapsody, Greg, to be completely honest with you.
Just one Verona, give it to me. Yeah, no.
I like
Yeah,
the fourth sound at the beginning. That's where it begins and ends for me.
Yeah, it's
all-
hidden track. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Move
it?
along home. Yeah,
Great.
So it's weird because I don't get it on the iTunes version.
a
it's
separate
not on the
track.
normal one. Yeah, it's on the
Separate
deluxe
track on
version.
Apple.
Right. Okay.
It's not on Amazon Music. You've got to play it on the deluxe version on Amazon Music
So you got to select the deluxe version. All right. Okay.
to get that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
You're not missing anything if you've not heard it.
I haven't, to be honest.
It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. It's like a Russian
I mean,
mailbox
it is just a
choir.
love letter to Verona, Italy. That's it.
It's
You know,
all-
and if it wasn't for them going to Verona, then Hertz wouldn't exist.
That's
So-
fine. Don't give me a shit
Well,
song
that-
about
that
it,
view.
though.
But I mean, hidden track, yeah.
Keep it to yourself,
Well-
boys. You record it. You love it. Don't
I mean,
be
it could-
Really would.
I'm surprised that they say, "Oh, Verona, we love you. It was a hell of a sight warmer down here than recording the album up in the Arctic Circle."
Mikey, do you want to talk about bonuses? There's a lot of them, but do you want to just skim through a few?
Yeah, on the Happiness Deluxe Edition, which came out on the 31st of October 2011, the bonus tracks all appeared as B-sides. They were Affair, Happiness, which was the free download if you got the album from amazon.co.uk. Confide in Me, Mother Nature. There's 2 demo versions on there, which are for Sunday and Devotion. The Devotion demo is just they all singing. It doesn't have Kylie on it. And their Christmas single, All I Want for Christmas, is New Year's Day, which is quite throwaway, but quite jolly. It sounds like it's bigging up Christmas, but it's really not. It's an anti-Christmas song. But it's presented with lots of bells and jingles. It's worth a listen.
Okay. So, overall, I think we'll come to Mikey last, if that's okay. Craig, what do you make of the album as a whole?
I enjoyed it. I did. It's funny because, say, with doing a lot of decorating the new kitchen this week, it's been the soundtrack. That's why I've been using it to paint along to. Me and Sarah have been like enjoying it, and she's really getting into it. And she's like, I know some of these songs. I was speaking to Mikie earlier on, and they were used in the Vampire Diaries, and that's what. Yeah, that's why. But you know, again, it's funny because you think, you know, music like this does fit into a lot of like, you know, mid-teen kind of like 20 teens like American dramas and stuff. There's loads of British bands who've gone into that, but no, I think I get what the guys say where it can be a bit samey, especially if you're listening to this all as a one-off. I think the album could have probably done with a little bit of a change around in running order, but I think it's solid enough.
Grae?
So I think it's interesting. So if we think back to the Pet Shop Boys episode that we did, I knew the singles, I hadn't paid any attention to that album, and I went into it thinking, nah, not my thing, don't really, you know, not interested, and came out thinking, do you know what? The lyrics and everything are far better than I ever expected. There's far more to them than I ever understood. I had hoped this would be the same, but I think because so much of it, it's you come away from it feeling emotionally drained, and not because it brings you in and ties you in with the emotions, but because it never lets up. There is an intensity to it that is just, every song is like the Westlife ballad of the album or something, and it just, there's no payoff. It's a tiring album to listen to. But I also think, I stick by what I said earlier about if they'd given the songs to someone else to do, and it wasn't delivered as, this is an album of, this is the band Hurts, this is the album Happiness. I think if those songs were diversified across various artists, some of those songs would be things that everybody knew. They would be huge. And if you look, and it's really funny, because when we were talking about the Nexus and what, I went, is the Nexus a person? Is it a group? Is it whatever?
Duo.
Two people. It is a duo. But if you look at, so David Sneddon came from Fame Academy. He wrote stuff. He wrote music for X Factor. He wrote, if you look at the people they write music for, it explains why there's a lot of that in this. And I think Quant as a producer as well, and Mike Stent as the mix engineer, you can understand why it sounds like it does. I don't know how much, so Mikie will probably be able to say this. So I don't know how much Hurts influenced the sound. Or you said they sent it to your man Quant, one of the songs, the first song, and he came back and you went, there, that's the album. And Sony went, that's the single, that's the one they're going to. I don't know if that influenced everything that followed.
Quite possibly.
And it's a shame because, as I say, it's really well produced. The songs are really perfectly structured. But because I think they're also limited because it's him as the singer, the two of them as the performers. I know they've got the choir comes in and the orchestra of it, but they're a limited palette because of, especially if they're writing it all in Logic 9, they've only got so many synth plugins that they can use and what have you. It could have been huge if they'd sold their songs and been songwriters for somebody else. That's what I feel. Some of the songs are brilliant, but the album leaves me kind of tired and cold, which is a shame.
Okay. I think it's too samey for me to enjoy the whole album. The bits that I really like.
Yeah.
So Wonderful Life and Stay. And even better than Love, which is a bit poppy for me, but I really like it. You put it on and you could have it in a playlist without any bother. I'm not sure I'd dig it out again and listen to the whole thing. But that's what this is for. That's what the podcast is for, to expose us to different music. And, it's a really important record for Mikie. That's clear from what we've talked about tonight. And there's things to love on it. There really are.
Definitely.
Mikie, go on. Sum it up if you can.
Yeah, this album's been really high on my playlist since it was released. And I totally agree with everything you say. It is an emotionally draining album. But that's what I wanted to do to me. I'm one of these gluttons for punishment. I like to listen to... Well, no, I listen to this as much for the same reason that I listen to Marillion's Brave. It does something to me emotionally. Yeah. And if I'm feeling in a certain place, this is one of those albums that I will put on as a go-to. I also agree with John. I may not necessarily play the album from start to finish, though. I'll probably select about 6 or 7 tracks from it and play those. But in the 6 weeks or so that we said we were going to do this album, I've reinvestigated it deeper than I ever have done, and I have played it to absolute death. I'm playing this 2 or 3 times a week and have done every week for the last 6 weeks. And I still now want to feel that gut-wrenching exhaustion that you get from the album. And I think if you're feeling in a certain place and you want to feel, it's a mood album, essentially, I think. And I think it strikes those notes on most of the tracks. I'll just read something that Theo said, and it's quite short. He said, we wanted to make an electronic album that had a human feel, an album that feels alive and not dead emotionally, but we also thrive on divisiveness. The aim was to create something that people loved for the same reason that other people hated. So I think they delivered that in spades.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily a love or hate album, but I think there's definitely some love or hate tracks on there, and I can see why some people would just not engage with certain parts of this album, or that they feel certainly disparate to other parts of the album. But as a debut album from any artist to sell 2 million copies worldwide, I think that's
Oh, you got to
astounding.
tip your hat. You got to tip your hat to them.
Yeah.
You know, and all of the this is samey, this is just production, you know, the song lyrics are a bit trite. All of that aside, they are connecting with people, and they're connecting people massively, and probably more so from a live perspective. I mean, from their first date in a church in Manchester to their last date in 2012, they played 207 dates. And that's just taking in tours, supporting the Sister Sisters on their Nightwork tour, which was the only time I've seen Hertz on. But I thought they were absolutely wonderful, and they only played, what, 7, 8 tracks, which were essentially the singles and Silver Lining. But they're engaging. They're not like, he's not a running around stage kind of guy, but he's got a presence. And Adam's guitar playing and keyboard work, when you see him playing, you can tell he's a musician. You can tell he loves his craft, and they are very interesting to watch. And you're absolutely right, Craig. They are festival / stadium pop. I think that's where they've won their audiences. They play so many festivals around Europe, and the 15th anniversary of Happiness was going to be 2 dates: one in London, one in Berlin. That was it. The Berlin one sold out within hours. So basically, they went, all right, have another 2 dates in Germany. There was somewhere else in Frankfurt, and they sold out. So they were like, oh God, we haven't played live in 5 years. They've been mostly, I mean, COVID put pay to them after the last album came out. And then Theo started writing for their artists, and they've become more songwriters than what they have been performers in the last 5 years. So all of a sudden, they're doing festivals, and I think, what's the 14th of August as we're recording this? So on the 16th of August, they're doing the last of, what, 8 or 9 festival dates this summer? They've still got it. People still want to see them, you know, and I think that's really good.
I was going to say, looking at photos of their live stuff, it's a full 5 or 6 piece band. You know, it's not as if it's a pop duo. It's a full production. You know, it's like, and I can imagine with all the live instrumentation and what have you, and I would imagine it sounds much more organic live than it does on the album, perhaps. So I think live it would be something that
it does fall flat in certain places, but in others it sounds more grandiose. But again, it's the whole package. If you've got to watch, if you just listen to them live, it sounds. I mean, I think unfortunately, the deluxe edition's got a DVD with
Live in Berlin,
Live in Berlin from 2011, and it's amazing to watch. The sound quality is fantastic, but if you listen to it on Apple Music, I don't know what they've done to the sound, but it's awful. I can't listen to it. But there is some clips of them on YouTube. Unfortunately, the whole concert isn't available on YouTube at the minute, which is a shame because they've got their own channel, and there's loads of like clips of them recording this album on there. It's really interesting to watch. But live, they're a different beast, and I can see why people hook onto it. It's definitely interesting. I've been unfortunate not to catch a full gig of theirs. It's just been timing, money, distance, whatever. But yeah, it does give the album a different life because they play almost the album in order, but they put the B-sides in and then shuffle other bits around. So like the Water, they would shove in the middle somewhere. It's not necessarily at the end, you know. It works a bit better, you know. The way they've the way it flows is different live, and it definitely works. Definitely works.
Okay.
There was something I was going to mention, and I totally forgot because it pertains to before the album came out. On the 20th of August, 2010, before the album came out, they did something that was quite unique. They released an audiobook. Oh, well, I'm saying audiobook. It's one of those choose your own adventure style audiobooks. And they did it via Spotify. And they called it The Truth Hurts. It was written by novelist Joe Stretch and was narrated by Anna Friel. And basically, the choose your own adventure style of it would lead you off to 12 different finishes, which would lead you to each of the songs off the album.
Oh, so that's how they picked the running order for the album.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible. So it's actually still on Spotify. Some of it might be geo-locked in certain countries, so we can't honestly say if you're outside the UK that you're going to be able to listen to it. If you start it, all you need to type into Spotify is capital A, number 5, capital M, number 4, and your adventure will start from there. It's clever. It's the first of its kind. Whether it actually gained them any followers, I don't know, but definitely different.
Okay.
Definitely different.
Well, that's what we think of it. What do you
A big
think?
deep delve.
We have our Facebook group. If you're not a member of that, please look for Planet Marzipan Presents Planet Music, the album podcast, and join the Facebook group. If you like what you've heard, please like and subscribe. And if you don't, well, see you later.
See you next Tuesday.
Our next episode will be out in 2 weeks' time. And sitting here right now, we don't know what that's going to be about, but you'll find out when we do. All that remains to be said is thank you very much to Graham Tennick.
Thanks again for having us.
Thank you. Thanks to Mikie K.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening to the album.
That's all right. And thanks to Craig Houston.
Well, thank you very much, young sir.
It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care.
Oh, somebody do it for us.
Stay alive!
Hey! Thanks for listening
to Planet Music from the makers of Planet Marzipan.
If you like what you've heard, please like and subscribe, and maybe even join our Facebook discussion group.
You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com.